Hi, Megan.
Hey, Devon.
Hello, Hockey Style listeners. Happy New Year. Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Style with Devon and Megan.
Here
If
we
you're
are.
new here, you picked a great time to tune in. We have one of hockey's most legendary alumni coming to join us. We will save his introduction for a moment to make sure you know how our show works. So, we've got three periods. The first, Megan and I catch up on all things hockey. In the second period, we invite an industry guest in to share their own hockey style and their subject matter expertise. And in the third period, we'll give our takeaways, a wrap up, and leave you with a hockey style tip. If you aren't subscribed yet, please do because we don't want you to miss anything. And we're so glad you're here. Give this episode a like, and you can follow us on Instagram at Hockey Style Podcast and keep up with our daily hockey crazy filled lives, which is a lot of hockey all the time. Speaking of, as we just wrapped up the holiday season, Megan, you had a really cool hockey integration into your holiday traditions. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have a new tradition, but also so many hockey related gifts. So
it
we this year ended up doing a hockey card advent calendar, and it was the highlight of every day in
was
December
very,
with
very cool.
something to look forward to. There was a format of how it was supposed to go, like slowly building in value cards. And I don't think either of us did a very good job of that, but it was so much fun having cards to open every day. And yeah, we had a great time. I think it's hard to remember. I'd have to go back and look, but the day that sticks out the most to me, my favorite day, which did not follow the rules, was Shane Pinto Day. And it was two autos and it was just really, really good little group of cards. But yeah, Brennan really did a good job, like sort of theming each one by player. So, that was Shane Pinto Day. So
Oh my gosh, you two love Shane Pinto.
it's just me.
How did you come up with the way that you actually made the advent calendar? Because it was really beautiful.
Yeah, it ended up just being like sort of like a supply drawer thing that had 24 slots. And then I just covered the front with Christmas paper, or like
Mm.
a Christmas sticky paper so you couldn't see inside. But I just thought really long and hard. I wanted something that had like tactile opening, not just picking up a wrapped card every day. I
Hmm.
wanted it to feel like you were opening a little something like the little drawer or a little door, and finally settled on that. It's pretty cute. I'm sure we'll be doing it every year now.
I love it. Well, you made them and they're reusable, right?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't construct the container, but they're pretty cute. They're good. They've
Yeah.
got the little numbers on each day, and yeah.
Which leads us to another hockey themed gift that my husband and I gave to you guys, but then my mom gave to both of us. So we all got the new, the first version of the Upper Deck Centennial Detroit Red Wings hockey cards.
hmm
What did you think of those?
I like them. I'm happy to have them. I'm glad that, we each have our own full set. If it were
Yeah.
me, I'd be doing it differently, but
Yeah.
what do I know? And Brennan got really lucky. He actually got a Cam Talbot auto. I think that's fun. I love Cam Talbot. I'm sorry. I don't.
Yes.
And my like one special card, like there's was it five or six golds? Um, the gold
Yeah.
anniversary I got was actually Simon Edvinson.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I love that. I think I got into Simon and Vincent too. It was really cool. So if you haven't seen this set, this first one that they came out with is, I think it's 100 cards, but you get
It
every
is.
single base card in the
Mm-hmm.
set. So that's Red Wings of all time. We got Terry Sawchuk to Marco Casper, right? And then there's like five or six special cards, and that's what's different in every box. So you don't know what you're going to get. You can get patch cards, autos, limited run cards. It was very cool, but something every hockey fan should collect because they're really beautiful and celebrate key moments in our history. But there is a new box coming out after January 1st. I don't know the
Yeah.
date exactly. Check with your local card store or call our friend Jason Luton and he can let you know because I know he's ordering quite a bunch in Clawson, Michigan. And
Perfect.
that will have, I think, more variability in the special cards you can get. So, how
Fun
about what
stuff.
were some of your other favorite hockey themed presents?
I finally at long last get to see the Carolina Hurricanes in person. And it'll be a
Incredible.
stress-free game because it is not a Wings game. So I just get to enjoy Carolina
Mhm.
without feeling guilty.
You can see the
Um,
Lenovo Center as a Canes fan.
as a Cans fan, yeah, I'm really excited
Canes
about
fan.
that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it possibly slightly more exciting to me because I'm crazy. We are also going to a Greenville Swamp Rabbits game, and I
Yes.
cannot wait for this.
Okay, the Swamp Rabbits clearly have the best name, but what else do we
Who
know
doesn't want
about
to be a
them?
swamp rabbit?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Well,
follow them.
you're gonna become a big fan.
Oh, their mascot's awesome. I don't need to tell you what it is.
No.
Um, it's awesome. And I just like all of their like social media and marketing is pretty good. Like they're doing a pretty good
Mhm.
job down there. But every time they win, it says Bits win, which took me a long time to piece together, sadly.
Yeah.
Brad Bits. Okay. But I don't know. It's like
Oh,
just so fun and low pressure and just
yeah.
enjoying like the silliness of the game and just fun things. I'm just really excited to go down there.
Brennan did a good job putting that trip together. That will be a hockey-filled weekend too, because the day before we're going to see the Wings play the Sabres in Buffalo. So you're going to be all over wearing every different color palette for these teams.
Yeah, I don't know how mad everyone's going to be, but I think we'll be in full Buffalo gear.
Oh no, you got to have a
Hmm.
nod to the Red Wings. I love throwing people off when you wear both teams.
Well, I'll probably wear my sneakers. That'll be confusing for everyone.
Yes. And to be clear, we're cheering for the Red Wings, but there are
Yeah.
particular players that we like who play on Buffalo. So it's
Hmm.
cheering for the Red Wings to win while we also support key individual players.
Sure. Yeah.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Tage Thompson for Brennan. Goes without saying, Alex
Hmm.
Lyon for me. I
Hmm.
think Topher will be in full Red Wings gear. We'll leave him with that. Anyway, that's really fun. So you kind of take the cake with that one. But the other hockey present, I thought if I can give myself props because it was from me, but I thought was good. The Olympics are coming up. So I tried to find both my brother and my husband a little something from the Team USA Olympic gear. Brennan got the official Ralph Lauren pullover that the teams will be wearing. And then my husband got an unofficial. Funny enough, I haven't shopped at Abercrombie in like 2 decades, but Abercrombie did this really cool cream men's sweater. In the back is a men's hockey player, and it just says like Winter Olympics or Team USA, I forget. But it has the Olympic crest on the front. So somehow they got to do that. But it's really
Fun.
cool. So we're going to be ready for all the Olympic viewing very soon. It's coming
Yeah.
right up in February.
Hmm. Hopefully there's hockey in a finished rink with a
I
booth and seats and
know.
stuff.
I know. It sounds like we're going, but it sounds like the neutral zone is where it was like 3 feet short, but they cut it out of the neutral zone. So 4 feet short. Well,
4 feet short.
that's really gonna make a difference. I
That's
mean,
why, from the start, John Cooper was like, "Where are we losing this 4 feet? I need to know now," because it
yeah,
has an effect on just players and who you gonna take, and goalies angles. Like if you're taking it
all of
out of
it.
you're just gonna mess them all up. So yeah, it's very
Yeah.
important. Doesn't seem
It
like it, but it
probably
is.
makes more sense to take it out of the neutral zone, but all the same, it's going to screw things up. I would wonder if it kind of messes with the European players even more because they come from, even larger
Mm,
arenas typically for the Olympics. But
mm.
if it's 4 feet shorter than American rinks, it's the smallest that we will have seen for professional ice. It'll be interesting.
I think it's really funny that they said for 2030 that it has to be NHL size, or we will not come.
Yes, yes. I
Just
mean,
a
also
little
just
late
from like
now, but
an injury standpoint too though, like these guys go so fast, like
it's
you know
crazy.
well, we'll see. I'm excited to watch and see who makes the roster, which we will be hearing very soon as well. All right, what do you think? Should we get into it?
I
I'm
think we
so
should.
excited. I
Yep.
can't wait.
Hmm.
So excited.
Hmm.
Okay, well, it's not a secret if you clicked on our banner. I always like to tease out till the end of the first period who's coming on. But if you clicked, you already know. So the suspense is not really what I built it up to be. But Megan and I have been eagerly anticipating this interview for weeks because he's one of our favorite hockey players of all time. Today's guest is a true legend and one of the most beloved Detroit Red Wings in history. He's a four-time Stanley Cup champion, a cornerstone of the iconic Grindline, and the heart and soul of some of the most unforgettable moments in NHL history. Please welcome Darren McCarty. From championship goals to legendary rivalries and one of the greatest comeback stories the game has ever seen, Darren's impact on hockey goes far beyond the stat sheet. Let's hear from DMAC in the
Let's
second
do it.
period.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the second period and welcome to the one and only Darren McCarty. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Devon. Thank you, Megan. Great to be here with you guys and all of you Wing Wheel Nation members out
Woo.
there that love the Red Wings, no matter where you are in this country, in this world, in this universe. You never know who's
Yep.
watching.
Anywhere you're a hockey fan, you're our kind of people.
Amen.
So, how about that game last night, DMAC? How about that Simon Edvinsson?
Yeah, and might be quote of the year. I know that it's been used before, but perfect timing shows you the kid's not just a great athlete, but it's pretty intellectual too. Where he blocked a shot earlier, and I mean you could tell it was in pain. And it was
Yeah.
one of those things that he's not a guy that is going to stay down. He needed help to get off, but was able to shake it off. And as he was quoted saying, it's a long way from the heart. That's old
I
school
know.
hockey. So,
Mhm.
but that's what you need. That's the mentality that these younger guys and you consider the guys in their second year like the Simon Edvinsson, like the Marco Caspers, guys that are developing into what you're seeing in front of you right now is is the team and what you need in order to again get back to being not only a playoff team, Stanley Cup team. Let me make one thing clear. Right? Steve Eiserman has never said this is about making the playoffs. This is about winning
Yeah.
Stanley Cups. So, you know what? The patience that we've had to have along, at least right now, like people would say, is like, when's the clock start? I think opening night this year it started because you saw in the lineup the names that you were hearing that are going to be a part of saving us. Now you see the I always mess his name up. I just call him the Sand Pelican. You see the Sand Pelican
Yeah.
back there, right?
I
And you
love it.
see Nate Danielson, right?
Mhm.
You see Emmett Finney, who is not just there for speed. He's a great,
Yeah.
good hockey player. And you see the way this team, and now you introduce the veterans. Now you get the goaltending tandem, and with John Gibson being the John Gibson that we got, and Mo Sider, elevating in front of our eyes and stuff. So like we're not this. I know we're sitting in first place as we record or whatever, but you look at the parity in the league, and you look at you can't lose 3 games in a row or you put yourself behind the 8 ball. Let's all be realistic, ladies. We
Yes.
just got to get through the end of February and early March. All right, because our
Mhm.
last 3 years has been absolute. Can you swear on here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Dog shit. Dog shit. I think it's 219-1 or something like this, and it's no.
I
So,
know.
but with what we're seeing and the way we're seeing it, right? I said earlier this year this team's bipolar. It's
Mhm.
taking its medication. The other night, you look at the Carolina game, right?
Yes.
Where you're not supposed. That's one on the schedule where you're not supposed to get a win, but you kept yourself in the game that you can't cause yourself those mental mistakes. But I tell you,
Mhm.
you'd rather lose the 2 points in the regular season with a mental mistake that happened in Carolina because you're going to remember that when you're playing Carolina when it matters.
True.
So you're allowed to make mistakes. You're just not allowed to make the same mistake twice. You know who that was a famous quote or a famous rule was Mr. William Scott Bowman. You
There
might
you
know him.
go.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. That was
Oh, the
his.
Scotty days. Well, if I may say, the heart and hustle that we saw last night was a little bit reminiscent of your glory days, DMAC, because the one thing you were famous for, many things, but one thing above all else is your heart and hustle. And of course, your grind. And coming back when Simon had not one, not two, but three block shots, couldn't feel his leg, and then came back to surprisingly make the overtime winning goal. What did that kind of throw us back to? It was a little bit of DMAC in there. So,
In different ways, but it reminded me of Maltby. But it reminded me of Grindline mentality because Kirk Maltby used to block so many shots and be walking things off or whatever, but it never affected how, and that's the attitude. You see, what you mentioned there is that character, the way to play, and it was yes, we had the grind and the grit and stuff, but it was the hard work, and it was like the same way that our leaders they played. You look at this leader, Dylan Larkin, right? He's arguably been their best player, whatever, but now he doesn't have to carry all the load and he's got some help in other avenues. I think that what I see this year is that his he's not spent at the end of the game because they've had to use him for so many different things that he's got energy left. And plus, when you get production through the lineup, right? That's how you need to win in this league. So,
yeah.
and I love whatever form of the big line that comes out there because they've been effective. I mean, James Van Riemsdyk's doing everything that he was brought in here to do. You know what? Michael Rasmussen in that third line, whether it's Comfer or Cop or whoever's, if it's Casper, who everybody looks at Casper's stats and you don't look at those, right? What you have to do, and I think he's putting a little pressure on himself, but they're asking him to do a whole bunch of different things as a second year guy. So I'm not worried about him. I don't think the coaches are. I think that you got a little bit of a reprieve and got to watch a game, and sometimes for younger guys, that's more important and can come back because he's a big integral part of this team. So. They got to keep playing the right way. And also with that, when I mentioned bipolar, because when they say, well, what's playing the wrong way, DMAC? I'll explain. So when the person next to you is more important to you than you are to yourself, that's that tie that binds, right? But what in meaning that is that I can only do my job to the best ability. I can't do your job. If I'm worried about doing your job, then I'm not going to do my job well. Inexperience, what it breeds is it's not lack of effort, right? It's just that, oh, I'm going to run around and then you can't do that. I'm going to go help you. No. You got to stay stable into your positioning, into what your responsibility is, and take care of that. And when everybody realizes that, what we have seen probably through the month of December, right? And that becomes organic, right? Does that make sense to you guys?
Absolutely.
And that's what we're seeing, correct? And that's such a the integral part of the growth and of developing when they talk about, well, what's the culture? There's so many different things, but it's the way to play every night, and that goes to you're seeing Todd McClellan, who now has had this team for part of a season and then a full season, right? That's knowing your players. And, that's the one thing I like. There's no BS with Todd. After a game, if we see it, he's seen it, he's going to tell us about it. And there's accountability there. And these guys respond to that because when there's accountability, that means there's respect.
Yes. Well, we're very hopeful, cautiously optimistic, but I think, as you said, the puzzle pieces are coming together. People are doing their part, and it's fun hockey again. So I grew up in Detroit, and you were the fun hockey that I remember most. Megan and I, when we were talking with you at Fan Fest this fall, made hopefully not an offensive comment, but we love mascots in the NHL. They just are so fun, the personalities, the charisma. And we were saying, man, it's too bad we don't have like a real octopus, like of tan. And then I said to you, Darren, I don't think we need one, because if the goal of an NHL mascot is to create excitement and hype and passion, we've got Darren McCarty. I hope you don't mind that I compared you to a
No, not at all. I'm not quite gritty, but it's the hair. I mean, I'm sort of in that ballpark and stuff. And no, I take that as great honor, especially coming
Okay.
from somebody, because you got to also remember, right? Like, and I think I told you this at the Fan Fest, where if you watched, like, especially at the Fox Theater for that event, I was sitting front row. I was the only one who never left a seat. Why? Because I was trying to enjoy it as the 5-year-old Red Wing fan,
Oh,
right? And also to see, I have a unique perspective because I grew up like you guys idolizing, the Red Wings even when they were worse and they stank, but it was like, and to have a part of it. So there's two pieces. So when you say stuff like that, I totally, my fandom is like hell yeah. And then my player or my responsibility, it's like when everybody asks me, do you still work for the organization? I said, listen, I do everything that has nothing to do with the product on the ice. Don't look at me for that. Look at everything else, like you said.
yeah.
So when I say that, that sounds like more mascot stuff than it does anything else. So there you go. I'm gonna say Devon and Megan and their hockey style podcast. They're the ones that named it, and then that's where we got the tagline, because I'm in charge of everything that
Perfect.
has nothing to do with anything on the ice.
It's perfect. We need the passion. Actually, I was chatting with you at Little Caesars Arena, the game that we were down at the going into the second 4-0. And
I was walking out.
Darren, yeah. I said, God, can you just go down to the locker room and like give these kids a pep talk? And he said, I would if I thought it would make a difference. And then I don't know what happened, but 2 minutes left in the second, we came back and didn't stop all the way through the third, won the game. And I said to Megan, did Darren do something?
Yeah, he did. He left. He left because some nights, ladies. I don't know if you know this, but I've got 4 Stanley Cups, so
Yeah,
you have to sort of impress me to stay because I got
there
other
you
stuff
go.
I can do. That day, I wasn't impressed. They obviously were having performance anxiety with DMAC in the building, so DMAC removed himself, and hence, boom. It happens more times than you know, ladies.
Oh my God. Well, fair enough. And speaking of you being a busy man, we want to hear more about you in the short time that we have together. So let's back up a little bit to your roots, your origin. You grew up in Leamington, Ontario,
I
so
did.
not too far from Detroit. And I just wondered about that experience and how once you became in the spotlight and so known in the hockey world, how did your roots shape who you became once the world got to know Darren McCarty?
Yeah, I think that what you see is a product of the environment I grew up in, because I grew up in Leamington, Ontario, and for geography, give or take, the house I grew up in, 10 minutes for the border. I was 40 minutes to Joe Louis Arena, right? So I mean, I was even 5 years old. I remember going to Olympia. So I was a
Yeah.
Red Wings fan because everybody else was Toronto and Montreal fans, and they were good, and Detroit sucked. And the secret that I let people in is, well, my uncle and my cousin worked baggage at Windsor Airport at the time, and that's where the Wings flew out of. So I got NHL sticks since I was like 10 years old from the Red Wings. So I was bought off early on, right? So
Pretty
and
cool.
then I get to be 11, and Steve Eiserman comes, and it was something they get cheering, and then the Bruise Brothers came, and Joey Kosher and Bob Probert, and I was always like, when I was a teenager, and I was always wanted to play in NHL. Rick Tuck, it was the guy, who was the captain of the Philly, who's the coach there now, was my idol. He could fight, he could score, he was a great leader and stuff. That's who I emulated on. But I was always like, man, Joey and Proby, they need somebody to take those little guys out of. They can fight the big guys, but they need a guy. I almost used to relate it to the Kibbles and Bits commercial. If you're old enough, where the little dogs say, hey
Yeah.
Spike," like that would be me, and that's
Yeah.
what it sort of was. So I tell everybody is that, like, I lived my dream. I manifested, the reality, and it was like through hard work and everything else. But you can't tell me that you can't do anything that you want to do. It's about priorities and sort of doing it right. And if it's meant to be, it'll be. But yeah, so it's very important to me to have, so because I grew up in Leamington, it's a melting pot, right? So I didn't see race, religion, anything like that, you were either an asshole or you weren't an asshole, right? So that's pretty much how I've always been, and I like people,
Yeah.
right? And now with, I'm very blessed, and I cherish with everything that I've been through to realize that I'm in a unique position because I cross all those boundaries because everybody's sort of got a DMAC memory of the fight or the goal or the cups or this or that or meeting me out and about
Mhm.
because I'm the one that you can touch. I'm the one that does everything and is out there and is about it. And that's that like I take real pride in that, but it's always been in me, like it has been in you guys and whoever's watching this. Like if you're a Red Wing fan, it's the same thing, right? It's just like I told my son Griffin, your love of hockey and my love of hockey, just because I won 4 Stanley Cups, there's no greater. It's just different.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
different, just because you guys are females and you didn't play on the team, but it does. But the passion and it's nurturing that because you know what, like, and now with the experiences and the stories and the history, right? As time has gone on, well, now when I tell the stories and whatever, I'm able to bring people back that maybe are gone, right?
Yes.
Because of your memories and stuff. So to be a part of that for everybody is a very powerful and grateful thing, especially for me. I just celebrated 10 years of recovery from alcohol and pills and stuff.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so like to share that the light and whatever else with everybody else to show that it doesn't matter where you've been, you can always be better. And it's just like our team, and I
Yes.
can't wait as this team grows, right? Because you and everybody who remembers or experienced any of the cups knows that feeling to get ready for,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
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 And I just want to say I'm so grateful to have you as an ambassador for our team because there are countless times I can think of where I've come across fans and chatted with them, and maybe they're not as immersed in the sport as I am, but so many of them have a story about meeting you, and they're so excited to tell it. And it's they're truly talking about a unique experience that they had with you. And I'm so grateful that you're around to do that for fans. And it means so much to me and puts a smile on my face whenever someone talks to me about you.
Well, and I appreciate that, Megan, because it's that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's that part of all of our human experience,
For
right?
sure.
And then
For sure.
and because we love, and like this, we all have this love. I see the Red Wing logo right behind you, right there, and that's what it is, right? It just on your hat, on there, and it's the pride. But it also goes too with what came before us, right? The
Hmm.
what Gordy and Ted and Alex, like there's a way to do it. What the way to that give back and the way that to reach out and when we played, and I know it's just like that now, is that when we travel, the Wing Wheel Nation travels. Well, I'll never forget '98 when we won the cup in Washington. I mean, there's like, what, say 18,000 people in the stands and 12,000 are Red Wings fans. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
It's cool.
incredible,
So
like
cool.
so we do cherish that, and we cherish that connection, and everywhere we go. I mean, I just ran into somebody at the casino the other night that we took a picture in Nashville back in like '08 or something like this. But
Wow.
and we were talking because, oh yeah, because to walk across because the hotel's right across the way, and talking, and you just get talking, like human beings, and talking about experiences and being able to relate, and just it's a lot easier to do it when you're retired, when old, and you get older and you get wiser, and think the more well-rounded things that you appreciate, right? So it's harder when you're in the middle of the fight or when you're younger, but if you can, I guess this is just Uncle Darren saying, just if you get a chance, just to take a breath and smell the roses, and we're in a good place.
We are.
We are. Well, jumping into your hockey career and kind of starting off in juniors, you were a dominant force in juniors as a captain of the Belleville Bulls. And then when you came into the NHL, you kind of embraced the enforcer role. Were you just ready for that? Was that an easy, like, I'm the guy, I'm going to take care of this?
Well, first of all, let's not forget fellow Grindline member Kirk Maltby had 50 goals his last year, junior, the same last year. Darren McCarty had 55, though, and
55.
won player of the year. That's why DMAC, you know what? Just remember to remind Maltz of that. Or if you do, I got him
Yes.
trained, he'll remind anyways. No, this goes back to growing up a Wings fan because I knew the role needed to play.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right? I did right. Did I do anything but play that dog that took care of all the other stuff? Right. And so I was willing to do whatever it took to play in the league. And so I, you know, fighting and playing physical and stuff like that, if that was going to get me in the league, and that's what I was told was going to be my stepping stone. Now it's always important that you work hard and hone the rest of it, right? Because I was never supposed to make it because I couldn't skate well enough. Well, I went to
Mhm.
power skating school and was on the ice and rollerblades. You ask anybody in my hometown, I used to do miles down the
Wow.
highways and stuff like. But because because I knew that I was tough enough, and I wasn't going to let that
Yeah.
stop me from my goal. So you all and look at our team. We were all blessed because so you wonder why we were so the grind line was the way it is. We never got to touch the puck in practice. We were always chasing the Russians around or Stevie and Nick and stuff like that. So we were all mad when it came. So it was
There you
easier to
go.
go crash and bang. But then, the thing that I take pride in is sometimes the big guys couldn't get it done. So as Drapes would always say, grind line go. And between the three of us, we would come up, with it just seemed that goal at the right moment or that shift that turned the tide or shutting it down or whatever was needed at the time. And talking about, and even Joey, but talking about like Joey and Drapes and Maltz and I like that was the role. You'd embrace that role. And that was for me as a red, like no one was ever going to get my role.
Right.
Right. Unless until I gave it. Right but that's a whole different story.
So you were definitely kind of a sandpaper guy, and we all watch the clips and can see you talking on the ice, and you don't have to get anybody in trouble. But what are some of the best chirps you've ever heard, whether you gave them or you heard them?
Dude, the I mean
Can only imagine.
the best one I ever heard. Like I always used to. I tell this one is that I used to go into a scrum and Drapes and Maltz wouldn't really be saying anything. He'd just be giving you that cheesy spin. Drapes would just be spouting off about everything, and I go in there and put my arms around somebody. Go, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And it's like, and somebody go, these assholes and whatever. And I go, yeah, they're assholes, but they're my assholes. So now what, right? But the best one I heard on the ice was Sean Burr, rest his soul, in St. Louis, with Kelly Chase, who's such a great player and prayers with him as he's going through his cancer journey and stuff like that. But what a great competitor and a great person. But and he was one of the tough guys for St. Louis and he's giving it to Burr for something. He's going, Bursey, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight off the draw. And Sean Burr's like, no, we're not. And he's like, we're gonna fight. Let's go. Let's go. Puck drops. We're going. No, we're not. No, we're not. And he goes, Burr, if you don't fight me right now, I'm gonna find you after the game at the bar and beat the crap out of you. And he goes, and Bursey goes, that'll never happen. And he goes, what? He goes, I don't hang out in gay bars. Like this. had the
Oh
had the
my God.
had the whole both teams laughing on the ice and stuff like this. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chase took a penalty after that too. But
Yeah, there you go.
that like just stuff like that,
Oh,
which in the '90s was pretty tame,
Right,
right?
right.
Because some guys
for
could be
sure.
vicious. Some guys
That
could be vicious.
that is a story I had never heard, but I love that you guys could keep laughing, keep each other amused,
It's
right?
it's fun. Like that's half the time, dude. Chelly, listen. But before Chelly came to us when he was in Chicago, and he used to chase Stevie and Sergey around trying to kill him. So I'd be trying to kill Chelly, and I'd get him in the corner, and I'd sort of have him, and I could just like give it, and he would make me laugh, and like, wait, whoa, you don't want to do this, bud. You know, like stuff like he would just make me laugh. So then when he became a teammate, we were almost already friends. You know, I'd be giving it to him, and oh man, but yeah, there's definitely some characters. You
Yeah.
see, like when you like some when they mic up, and it like when they mic up some guys, sometimes you get to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
for
we
sure.
would just see your lips moving and think, "Oh boy, I could only imagine."
Yeah, that's why I sat between the benches. I always like to see what was going on and either like try to quell the conversation or just listen to the conversation. Half the time I'd be listening because it'd be fun. Like if you get
Yeah.
Stevie going, man, like he is just ruthless, and it's like you're
Really?
on. I mean, I'd be like I'm on his team, and I'd be like trying to hide to make sure he doesn't see me there. Like there's some ruthless guys, and you know Sean Avery, love him, but he didn't have a governor.
There you go. You heard it here, people. That is hilarious. You've got all the insight. So you mentioned characters, but you also came into the league as a hot prospect. I mean, you went second round draft pick, I think like 49th, and had high expectations for your skill as well. But you walked into a locker room in Detroit filled with, as Megan was alluding to, like hockey Hall of Famers. You mentioned the Russian greats. How did you feel walking into that room as a new Red Wing? And what did you take away that helped you embrace a winning culture?
No, I think it was just that, like I always said, is that I knew like the role. It was always about getting up to speed because like Proby always needed a wingman, you know, like and or somebody else there, or just the willingness to do anything and to be drafted to go to training camp, to the Dino Cicerellis, to meet Steve Eisman's and Proby and stuff like this, and it just what it made you do is just want to work harder. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it took, and I was like I had 45 majors in the minors that year because I was going to establish myself that I would come up and do whatever and take care of the light trash that Proby didn't have to take care of. And it worked out for me that's the year that Detroit lost to Toronto in the first round and they made all the changes and then brought Scotty Bowman in and then so I was able to make an impression in training camp and an exhibition season to be able to make the team. So that was the start of it. But it just, like I think that my motivation, you know, it was a little bit different because I've had the same one since I was like 7 years old for the same team with the same.
Yeah.
Once I realized like what role. I mean, yeah, I'd love to be Yari Curry to Steve Eiserman's Wayne Gretzky. I played with Steve Eiserman a lot, and I was nowhere near Yari Curry. But to be able, like, I think that's when I look back and I sort of forget. If you look and see how many games and how many shifts I played on his right side, that's why he didn't have as many points as he had to. But that's why he played as long as he did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So there you go.
For
So
sure.
so I mean like if you think about it, like because I remember watching him and I remember when Steve Eisman was drafted and to be like that's the reason that there's four guys on the grind line. Because I
Yes.
would start on the grind line, as you saw in the finals against Philly and stuff for the first couple shifts, maybe first shift, and then I'd go back and play with Stevie until the last like 10 minutes of the game where Scotty put you back. So it was always like a shuffle and stuff like that. And I think that's the thing I'm proud of is like the versatility. My favorite moment, like if you say to me, like the fight had to happen, right? Like that's the business, and that had to happen. I didn't need to score the goal, but that was the God shot saying karma's real, and you know what, you really messed up, Claude Lemieux, and then the cups. But for me, the moment that I'll never forget, and it goes along with what's the loudest you ever heard Joe Louis Arena, because I was on the ice for that final face-off, and I was on the ice when the fans came out of the stands, the streamers, the guys off the bench, and I remember from blue line to blue line, it was so loud it was silent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like
Oh,
it was just that, like I know that, like that beating the bricks off Lemieux, that was loud. I know the end. Like there's some loud moments, but there was nothing that ever was like that loud. That everything just went silent for
yeah.
and what I take like three strides, so like 5 seconds.
Yes. Wow. So you bring up the iconic 1997 Fight Night at the Joe, which always impresses me because I remember watching it. I wasn't there. I remember watching it on television. But the young kids who have seen that game, like watch the clips, know the story. It's part of what has shaped Red Wings identity. And you were the star of that moment. You've told the story for the past almost 29 years coming up this Q1, but we would love to hear a little bit of a different perspective. So this summer, celebrating the centennial, Red Wings marketing team passed out posters that said 100 things to do this summer to celebrate the Red Wings. And they were all kind of inside jokes. And one was tell your friend a joke about turtles. And it happened to be, the nod to Claude Lemieux. And it was very, very cute. But we would love to know about your mindset going into that season based on your friendship with Chris Draper and how much you anticipated that night versus showed up and said, "Oh, this is happening." Like, where was your headspace that day?
Yeah, so I'll take you back to 2 days after after the hit happened after Game 6 of the conference finals when Chris Draper got out of Henry Ford Hospital and Darren McCarty picked him up.
Mhm.
And the doctor gave him the pliers because his jaw was wired shut in 4 spots and new titanium plate in his face. So we got in the car, and this is when I turned to him. This is the irony of everything is this is the only time any of us ever really spoke about this. This is why
Wow.
it's so like God shot. It's so universe. It's so everything else. And I looked at Chris and I said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it."
Mhm.
Right. And then, if I was doing my comedy show, I'd say, then I asked him, where he wanted to eat. And it was loaded because we went actually for gnocchi at Andiamo's, and it takes a guy with his jaw wired shut 4 hours to eat gnocchi. I'm just warning you in case you're in that situation. Anyways,
Megan,
um,
don't get your jaw broken. I don't have
I'll
that
do what
kind
I
of time.
can.
yeah, that's it. I didn't have that kind of time. Good thing I was still drinking, so I was out on the boat drunk. So, but it was okay. Don't worry about that. Anyways, back to so that's the only thing that was ever said, except and here's some insight. Some people know, some people don't know. That's the first time I ever tried to get sober was in the summer of '96. Right. So
Okay.
it's coming up. So I'm trying to be sober and it's going through where we played. So you got to remember, we'd set the league record and then lost to them. And then we play the first couple games. He doesn't play. We play in Colorado. I'm on the ice once with him, sort of, but it's not right. And I know it's coming back. And we got March 26th. It got to the point that I was going nuts in my head, trying to stay sober, trying to do whatever. At the beginning of March, I got on my knees and I just prayed and I said, God, just, I can't do this anymore. Just whatever happens, let me be the messenger.
Oh.
So if you do think he listened, that's up to you to translate or not.
Mhm.
I think he did. So feel free to use that anytime,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
so but if you watch anything, and this is like it's always you gotta when teammates see interviews that other players do, it's we don't know a lot of the information or their perspective a lot of time because it's not like we sit around and go, "Hey, Shanny, what'd you think of that, bud? Hey, Steve." So when we see like the Russian Five or Unrivaled or stuff like this, when there's perspectives from guys, whether they're your teammates or your opponents or whatever like this, it's always intriguing. And but Shanny nailed it because this showed you how tight we were, like on the same page, and we needed that thing to take us over, not only for us because we believed in ourselves, but it was more so for the rest of Wing Wheel Nation. And I tell this because this is unbelievable. So we had to win the game. That was the
Mhm.
number one priority. Now listen, I know like my thing is red alert, right? Like, so when there's an opportunity, I'm taking that opportunity. But one thing I take pride in, and you have to be a Scotty Bowman, is you can't put yourself ahead of the team or like there's different moments, but it's like your hockey IQ. You got to
Yes.
be smart, and we all were, right?
Mhm.
Like where it's bigger than that because we had bigger goals. Now, don't get it twisted. If something didn't go wrong, I would have jumped in the bench and beer chucked them and done whatever it needed to be done. Right. But the object was to win the game. So it doesn't start out too well. But I remember clear as day. There's a whistle. Like I know Lemieux's on the ice, right? When he's on the ice, but it's got like, like it just I don't know. Something told me just you'll know the moment when it is, and the irony is it's not always the strongest, the fastest, but maybe it's the eldest or wisest, and Larionov. And when you look over and you see Igor Larionov punching Peter Forsberg in the head, if there's no greater green light go than that, right? It's so much into it that Adam Foote, right? Who's the big nose lumberjack looking ugly MF no, great coach of Vancouver now, actually. Great dude. But fierce opponent, he's going to protect his teammates. So he knows I'm going for him. He grabs me. And then, but I got the Irishman, the flying Irishman, Shanny, who breaks my arms free, grabs Foot, and lets me go out to deliver, the cold cock, because I looked him right in the eyes like everybody else. And here's the irony with this, right? The irony with this is I'm a lefty, except because this is the hospital and this is the graveyard, but this thing can't hit. This is my right. It can't hit nothing. Right? It's heavy, but it's wayward. Except when in the most important moment of my life, right? And for anybody who's ever how many times did I think about what I would do in that situation? Right? Like if I had that situation, if I had Claude Lemieux's face right in front of me, what would I do? Right? And there was my moment. And I say that to everybody because if you wish for something, it's just gonna flash by, but it's for you. If you wanted it, there it is. So don't wish for it if you don't want it. So when it was there, but the irony is I'm a righty, but when I pulled that right back, every man, woman, child, puppy, kitty, Oma, Opa, grandma, grandpa, you name it, in Wing Wheel Nation, you were all in that fist. It was like Thanos, bro. And it was like, bam, and I hit him with the cold cock so hard, I folded him into a turtle, which isn't correct because Claude even said himself that he was knocked out because it's the hardest he's ever been hit. And I was like, thank God I can't hit you any harder. I hit you with the wing-wheeled club. But I wasn't done. No. Right? You see, I'm Gen Xer, man. I was raised by John Rambo. This guy drew first blood. So it was game on. I don't condone anything I did because I took his head. Meanwhile, the goal was coming out. Shaney's doing ice capades with him, flying in the air. And so I don't even know this till I watch it on replay because I took Lemieux's head and I smashed it against the boards, face first.
Oh, yeah.
And then I need him in the head, which you can never, ever, ever do, except, back to what I just said. Right. And I need him so hard in the head that to this day, if you see Claude Lemieux, he's got a welt.
Yeah, he has a scar.
To remind him to so, but so all that's going on and whatever else. I get 4 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct.
Jeez, can you imagine?
Stay in the game, and if you stayed in the game, and the God shot or whatever is the fact that I scored the overtime winner.
I know.
Right. And at the and what's important about that, right? So I slayed the dragon, got the girl. But there's a great photo of me scoring the goal, tic-tac-toe, Igor to Shanny to me, 5-hole, and then Vladdy, me, and Shanny behind the net. I swear to God, it was this feeling, right? This like electricity go through your body that it was like that deep breath. It's going to be all right. Don't know what it means. It's going to be all right. But not just for the team, for everybody in the building, for the city, for the state, for the country, for the world, for the universe. Every Red Wing Wheeled Nation person there that was around felt that black cloud being lifted because at that moment, we were tough enough. We were team tough enough. We weren't Russian fought. We were united. We were that united. And what's important is that fan base. Right, was there with we formed that bond even enough, right, to continue on to win the Stanley Cup. And what's more important, right, is through the tragedy of what happened to Vladdy, we all stuck together and we're able to, right, because that's the one thank you I think that that I would like to express from the rest of us that were like part of the teammates and involved in the organization, stuff like this, is how much, like, that's the one thing of, because we all lost something, but
Mhm.
we didn't, but we band together as a family. And when you go through stuff like that, no matter how young you were, it sort of reinvigorates that bond. And I think that that's sort of carried a lot through. And even to, like, it's amazing because even to this day, I mean, Vladdy was on stage at the Fan Fest with Sergey, and you could see how happy they were to
Mhm.
see each other and stuff. And we always, the first thing we say to each one of us, no matter what it is like, dude, Vladdy's like better than he was last time.
Yeah,
So you
good.
see him out and about and doing things. So I think all those prayers and everything that everybody else, but we all say thank you to everybody because that is what the life part. And I think that that's what connects even deeper to why the youth and why it's important to pass it down, even if the kids that aren't born, or, I mean, I
Hmm.
retired in '09. I mean, that's 16 years ago. Then
Hmm.
when young kids come up and, that's thank you, YouTube,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
exactly.
Right. So, and so that connection of why we have faith and why we cheer so hard, and, with the same thing is so important. So in the good times and in the bad. So we're getting better. We're gonna
That
get better,
For
and it's gonna
sure.
get
Yeah.
better quicker.
that connective community, that is Hockeytown.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's it.
And I
that's
think
it.
everyone is always so happy and thrilled to see Vladdy there. Like, just the best cheer every game he's on the screen. Like, all so happy to see him there and doing good. And that's the best for sure.
100%, 100%.
And just inquiring minds want to know, going back a little bit, that night when you were in the penalty box, what did you say to the professor?
I just said, "Fucking right, Tiggy. Way to get it going. Way to get it started. Way to get it started." I don't know if this is true or not, but Shanny told the secret. He said that he said right before that Iggy was on the bench and allegedly turned to Shanny and I and said, "I'm sick and tired of you pussies not doing anything. Follow my lead." I didn't hear that, but I'm not saying Shanny's not a liar. So,
Oh my God, I love
I mean, it was Igor Larianos playing all along. Like I said, sometimes you have to listen to your elders.
Mhm.
one of the cutest interviews or descriptions I heard you use in an interview, because everybody was shocked when it was Larionov grabbing Forsberg. That was the catalyst for
Puppies on
everything that was
Christmas
to come.
morning.
Grandpuppies
Puppies
are.
on Christmas
I
morning.
have
That's why I
never
looked over and
laughed
I
so hard.
I had to. I was like, "Oh, it's so cute." Puppies on Christmas. Oh, Lemieux's on the ice. I got to go into Shark Week, right? Like, but it was like, "Oh, look it, it's so cute." Like, they're not going to hurt each other. They're just rolling around. I mean,
It
how
was
much
it
can they
was
hurt each
Animal
other?
Planet with the puppies and then Shark Week. That was the
But
perfect analogy.
absolutely, but I was wrong because look at Peter Forsberg get up and Igor
Yeah.
freaking either smashed his face on the ice or Igor. Listen, I learned a long time ago. I ain't messing with those Russians, those old Russians.
Oh my gosh. You nailed it. Well, 1997 was one of the most iconic years in our franchise history, but we'd be remiss not to take a moment to reflect on the series with the Flyers and your I loved the double pirouettes in celebration of your game-winning goal that was just the icing on the cake, but what we needed so badly after a 42-year drought. And you've replayed that goal for a number of interviews, but once again, we want to know, what did you think when that was happening? And what did you see? Because that was not your plan, right? Originally?
No. And so I remember they were on the end of a shift. There was a line change, and like I said, in the second period. So I'm playing with Stevie and Thomas Sandstrom, and I know puck goes in. They're Philly's changing. Puck goes up to Sandstrom, so I come through the middle. Right, I could see the guys on the bench. All I'm thinking is get to the red line. And the guys are probably yell and dump it in, dump it in. So I'm like, I can't salute because I'm not that good and take my hand off the stick. But I'm like thinking, okay, let's get to the red line, dump it in. Right. because of the change, there was only one D between me when I get over the red line. But as I get going, and I don't know, I have a better word for this, but I just sort of like I fiddle fucked it. Like I went to dump it in and it sort of rolled up my stick and out of reaction, I knocked it down. Now, when I tell the story, right, it's all goes back to what do you put in to get out? Because that move that I just made was the payoff for 2 summers in Sweden for a month each with 8, 9, 10, 11 year olds in not doing in a hockey school with the young Swedes doing these stick handling drills. And Thomas Storm, this, I call him Tommy Stormtrooper. God bless him. He's a stick handling guru or whatever. And I was over there to improve my skills to get, better and stuff. So that move, it's a pull it in, push it out, pull it in, push it out on it. It teaches on your heels and stuff like this. It was our warm up drill, right?
Okay.
Skating around with all the kids, whatever, no matter what, when you got on. It just so happened that that sort of move gets pulled out in the Stanley Cup finals in the second period. So I went to dump it in, fiddle fucked it, knocked it down, pulled it back, and all in motion. I remember, like, and I watch it back, and I don't have time to remember it like this, but I remember because I've been in this position, not as much in the NHL, but I've been here before. I've been in this neighborhood of scoring goals, right? And I got my right leg right in front. And as I did that, out of the corner of my eye, I see a flash of orange. Now I always thought it was a Halloween thing that like I like Halloween. It was pumpkins. There was no. I figured it out. I don't know, a while ago. When I grew up in Leamington, Ontario, our colors were the Red Wing colors, red and white. Our number one rivals was Essex, and they were orange and black. So how many times did I see that or whatever like this? Pulled it, boom. But I'll tell you this. There's a picture. And if anybody who's a Red Wing fan gets a chance, please go to the Detroit Historical Museum and to see their exhibit, because there is a picture from ice level of what I'm talking about that I've never seen before, where it's just the sticks, the skates, the goalie, the guy diving, everything else, and it looks like a car accident, right? And you watch those videos and go, how did that not end up in an accident where I scored? That the photo there is so, I'm trying to get a copy of it because it's so iconic of that action to whatever. But like you said, I pulled it to the middle, was like this far away. The reason I scored is because I said, please don't miss the net. And I shot it in. Double pirouette, 4.9 by the Russian judges. Again, another story. But here's the irony. And here's the kicker. Who's the guy that I really lock eyes with first in that pile? It's the same guy that I grew up idolizing since I was 11 years old, came to Detroit, Steve Yzerman, looking at me with his eyes the size of dinner saucers going, what the fuck was that? Right. And me never lost for words going, I don't know. And this is why we have to trust the hashtag Wiser Plan 1919 always. Because even back then he was so right, because he looks at me and he goes, well, thank God you don't have to do it again. And he was right.
I mean, he has a brilliant mind, but he saw something in you. It was, you can't replicate that chemistry. That was incredible. And then you went on. I mean, you kept winning. You cemented your legacy with the Red Wings, and we're so grateful we got to watch it.
No, and that's what it's all about. Now we get to share it and pass it down and get ready for these guys in the next realm, because like you've watched this enough. I think what you said earlier was they're fun to watch now. Thank freaking God. Right? Like there's something to build, and it's more or less like it's almost, I look at it as like sort of a mini after that March 26th game where it's going to be all right. Don't know what it means, but it's going to be all right because I see the future where we can skate with every team in the league. We can play with every team in the league. Like playoffs might be a little bit different beast, but now you're seeing the guys that you can get the jerseys and you can, okay, he's going to be a part of this team and stuff like that. And that gives us hope. That's all we want. And the effort. Like you said,
Yes,
you know, the stuff you're talking about, like Edmonton last, that's Detroit.
it
You know, like
is.
that's it, man. You get knocked down, you get back up. You know, you
Yes.
can't Detroit versus everybody mentality and stuff like that. So you don't have to be from Detroit to have that mentality.
No,
Hmm.
but it is a hockey town mentality.
That
And
is.
I'd really like to see you get a Sand Pelican jersey. I think you should be the
You never
first.
know. You never know, and I'll put a big sand pelican on it.
I love it. I love it. All right. Um, you've been really open about this, so I hope you don't mind us asking. But part of why I think, Red Wings fans of all generations love you and can connect with you, even if they didn't get to grow up watching it in real time, is because you've always been authentic and human and relatable. When you've had your highest highs, you've shared equally your lowest lows. And we talked about your close friendship with Chris Draper. And I was always really proud of the fact that you stayed in touch and he helped you when you shared that you were going through some of your hardest battle with alcoholism. And he said, you got together and I think it was him and Ozzy, but you guys all talked and he was part of what got you back into your health journey. And didn't he get you back into the Flint Admirals? What was that process
Flint
like?
Generals. Yeah.
Generals,
No,
generals.
absolutely. Like, and this is so. After I went to Calgary and I really love playing for Daryl Sutter and
Yeah.
'06 year we lost in the first round of Anaheim, went on to win the cup, and we were up 3-2 in that series, and that was I love that team. The next year I got hurt. They made changes, wasn't as happy, got back into my addiction, stuff like this, but I was able to come out and do what I needed to do, and I needed to come back here, right? So I came back here in the first person, like because I always paid attention, and these are my guys and stuff like this, and I knew I needed to get in that locker room. I didn't
Hmm.
need to play. I needed to get in that room, right? Because Ozzy, Drave, Smaltz, Nick, Homer, Z, Pav. Like I knew Brad Stewart from Calgary. I just needed to get in that room just because I think that you know that sometimes that's all you needed. So my goal, like I said to Drapes, is and it was Kenny too. Is I think I got something left. Let me
Hmm.
prove it to you. So at the time, Drapes was involved with the core sports, and shout out to Sean Clark and Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine because they physically got me back in, got back on the ice or whatever like this, did everything I needed to do, and then I just needed an opportunity. And so the Flint Generals and Brandon Bordeaux and Kevin Kerr and those guys gave me an opportunity, and that's where I found regain the love. I got to play in all situations and get on the bus and get in the locker room with the guys and really forced me to perform. I was never promised anything. Except if I
Yeah.
earned it, then I get opportunities. So then I earned the tryout with Grand Rapids, and my first game at home, I had a hat trick and a 4 point game, and
There you go.
and stuff. And so finally proved that I'd be an asset, at least being an extra guy, for the playoffs. So I got called up. I played the last 3 games of the regular season, ended up getting an assist, but impressing Mike Babcock enough, and because it's just about being responsible and what I brought. And the thing is that so Ozzy and I came into the minors together. Ozzy and I like have been the longest teammates and friends and stuff like this. So even when he was in that series or whatever, I was always like his warm up goalie. Right, because I shoot at
Okay.
because I can shoot it where I know where he likes it. Like
Okay.
guys, right, like this, and I can hit the glove and I can hit the different spots, and so Jim Bedard, the goalie coach, we always used to, we had fun back then. And Todd McClellan at the time, who was the assistant coach, would
Yes.
come out. So we'd be doing all this extra stuff, and I really had a blast just helping out, doing that, being in the locker room and stuff like this. Well, what happens is Johan Franzen gets hurt in the first round. So against Nashville, I ended up playing, even scoring a goal in the series. Then the second round, Homer gets hurt. So play in that series and watch Johan Franzen score 9 goals in that series and just dominate. And then ended up playing 17 games in the playoffs and being part of that '08 Cup. And, even around for the '09 one, which was, disappointing for the guys. But just to be, part of it again and stuff, like I said, was more of the culture and just knowing, just trying to be that positive asset and just one of those old guys in the room, I guess you could say.
Having done all of that work, coming all the way back up to the Wings in 2008, how did that Stanley Cup compare to previous ones for you?
I think that's just the one that just reiterates is when somebody tells me that they can't do anything, or like it's another one about mind over matter and motivation and how bad do you want it, right? Because like and it was, I think I mean that's supposed to be that's supposed to be you ride off into the sunset, but I think the lesson is that you the ups and downs, because you go back up and then dude, like after that and after I retired, it took me about 6 years of of being lost, being heavily into my alcohol addiction and stuff like this, um, to know that it's one of those things. Like I fought even harder. Like the hardest fight I've ever had was this last time on, what would it be, November? Like it's November 11th. 2015, right? When it
Mhm.
decided that enough was enough and I was going to fight back, right? But so I don't know. I know that it's one of these things that I'm not, I want to use as an example for everybody else that so in the worst times it's not as bad as you think and you can get somewhere from it, or at the better times or the higher times, when things are successful, how to enjoy them and not sort of sabotage sort of stuff like that. So it's all part of like my journey, but I just try to be an example. I think that the transparency that I've always had, and you know what you see is what you got, and I'm just going to be the best me possible, and it's taken a long time for me to get there. I would like yeah, you sit around and go, well, if like why didn't I make those changes then? Why wasn't the and it sometimes it just wasn't part of the journey,
Yep.
but now, and here's what I would say. I think it's more important for me, and maybe it's something that anybody can ask themselves. Is it more important to know what you want, or more important to know what you don't want? Because for me, it's more important to know what I don't want, and everything else leaves it open. So, I mean,
Yep.
like if I drink, I die. If I do certain like that, and that's just the note that like so alcohol and olives are in the same pot, because if I eat an olive, I'll kill somebody, right? So yeah, not champ, but I like olive oil, so feel free to cook me some pasta. But and I think it's just a transparency of hey, this is where I am now, and this is where I am today, and the fact that I've lived it open, that people respect and appreciate that, and they
Yes.
see that I come from I always come from a place of love,
You do.
like right to everybody else. I want that's what I believe. I believe in that and try to shine that. And I understand that that's not the way that the world works, but I try to shine my world on a lot of things, and that's why this and the Wing Wheeled Nation and everything else is like always been a part of who I am, just like the rest of us.
Yep. Yep. And there's a lot of parts. You're very multifaceted, Darren. Since you retired, if I've got everything accounted for, you've been an analyst, a podcaster, a musician, a wrestler, a cannabis advocate, an author. By the way, we are
Oh, nice.
obsessed. This is so cool. My husband won't, he keeps stealing it from me because he was like, grew up a comic kid.
I'll
And
have to sign it.
so congrats on the book. We would love for
Thank
you to
you.
sign it. Megan has one too.
I do.
So
Awesome.
we just wondered, how you've managed all of that. And today, when people see you, they know you, of course, as I will jokingly call it our mascot. Megan will much nicer call it our ambassador. But you've become, whether you like
Either or.
it or not, the face of Hockeytown because of all the hats you've worn and how open and passionate you are. So, what do you hope people in the next generation who may listen to this podcast, what do you hope they know about you, Darren McCarty, as the survivor, the fighter, and the great heart that you are?
Yeah, I think it's just the number one thing, is that I've found. And if I give any advice to anybody, is don't lie to the person in the mirror. Right? Own who you are at the time, even in your worst of worst. Because if you can talk to that person, then that's a start, right? Like that's where everybody starts. And I'm just one of you, right? I'm one of you that got to represent, right? That's what it is I got to represent like a true I consider myself, Detroit's favorite stepchild because I grew up across the border, which but I'm the prime example about if you love this city and you love this area, it'll love you back immensely, right? So um you like mascot, she likes ambassador, I like mayor of Hockeytown.
There you go.
Ah.
Okay. Fan of hockey town.
But in order to do that, and here's the one thing is that I'll say it once and I'll do it twice. So you want to talk about it, you got to be about it. And I think that's like the one thing, good, bad, right, wrong, is that if I say I'm gonna do it, it's already been done, right? So, and it's accountability.
Yes.
Accountability, good, bad, right, wrong, or whatever. It's just being accountable, and this, good, bad, but the more I hold myself accountable, the more I hold everybody around me accountable, right? So, I mean, pretty much don't become me with your bullshit.
Yeah. Well, you've got us. You've got us
I'm
fired
not the
up.
one, right? But I'm the one to ask, what do you mean by that? Or come up to me and get the picture and come up to me and get the autograph and whatever like that is. I am that guy. I'm the guy to tell the story to. And you know what? I take pride no matter what it is that I do, is that when you have my attention, like when I'm there, it's about you. And whether it's 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever like that, like you feel engaged
Yes.
right the whole time. So like, and that's important for everybody. That's why if you ever like, please be patient if you ever come to an autograph signing or something where you want to talk to me, because I will give, as you watch me do it, I will give everybody their time that is needed to be able to tell. It's not a calico. So, and that's what I love. I love now that, if I'm at the rink or around, everybody wants a picture, but they're talking to each other and say, hey, can you get this? And then so it runs and it's smooth and then everybody's around and we're all enjoying the experience. And it's, that's what it's about,
It is.
the in between.
Well, you make
Love that.
yeah, you make everybody smile. So thanks for doing that. We're fortunate, probably luckier than we deserve because we get to we run into you all the time, and that makes us happy. But we're kind of like those people they can't get rid of at Hockeytown either. Like we go to everything. We got an Airbnb for Fan Fest, so we could just stay downtown.
But that's what it's about, right? So, like I said before, like because I won 4 cups, right? That doesn't that our love is different. There's no greater.
Oh, I
It's
love
just
that.
there's no greater. Your love is the love of it. Whatever it is that. And you look
Yeah,
at because look at the sacrifices that all you fans make, whether it's monetarily or it's time or it's the drive and it's whatever. Like it's an investment.
yeah,
It's just, but it's an investment. But it's one of those things is like where you can believe in something that like I think it's great because it brings everybody together.
it
You know
does.
what I'm saying? That wing wheel brings everybody together.
All right. Well, let's hope it brings us together for some playoff hockey sooner than later.
Yes.
Let's get through the end of February, early March, ladies.
Yes.
We'll do
Let's
this
do
again,
it.
middle of March, and
All
and
right.
hopefully we're like,
Yes, we'll celebrate. A very happy new year to you, Darren. This has been such a treat. We wish you all the best. And let's go Red Wings.
all right, hockey style podcast, Devon Megan. It's been an absolute pleasure. Go Wings.
Go Wings. Mwah.
See you later.
Welcome to the third period.
Here we are. What
after
do we
one
even
of
do
the
after this? Yeah.
best conversations I think we've ever had. I told Darren as we were hanging up, like, my cheeks are going to hurt from smiling all night from this conversation. He's so motivating, and he gave us some great advice for our podcast.
hmm
Keep on trucking along. He believes in us, so we've got to remember that, Megan.
Yeah. And all of that was no surprise to me. He was as fantastic as I thought he would be. And I hope all of you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed talking with him.
Yes, we sure hope so. So, Megan, over the years, you've interacted with Darren a ton. What are some of your favorite
For
memories?
sure. I mean, there is definitely the first time I met him. It was my first year living in Michigan, and it just so happened to be the year. It must have been 2012. I get my years confused when I think about when I moved here, but it was the year of the mini lockout where we only played half a season, so they didn't start until January. So that meant we were fortunate enough that the alumni were sort of doing all of the activations in place of the players that would normally be doing them. So that meant Darren McCarty, Kirk Maltby, everybody was everywhere.
Yeah, that's
And the
cool.
first thing I ever got to do was go to Motor City and they did like a reshowing of probably the 97 Stanley Cup game, one of them, 97 or 98. And four of the guys are there. And it's my first time meeting who my favorite player at that time, which was Kirk Maltby.
Kurt
Like
Maltby.
I loved Kirk Maltby. That was my guy. One of my trips to Michigan, the first thing I got was a little child size Kirk Maltby jersey that I wore around. I wore it
It fit
everywhere.
you.
Yeah, it fit me. That was my first jersey.
Aw.
And so sad that there was no hockey when I first moved here, but I get to meet Kirk Maltby now. So we go to Motor City, get in the line, and I'm like so excited. And I have the Maltby jersey, so I just want him to sign it. Very early on in the jersey collecting, I decided it's your jersey, you're the guy, you sign it, nobody else. So I Maltz was first. I put it on the table for him to sign and like chit-chatting, blah, blah, whatever. And Darren just doing his thing, slides it over. And, I told Maltby it was just for him to sign. So he was in the loop, but Darren was just in the zone. And he slides it over and he starts one little Sharpie mark and Maltby goes, no, no. It was so funny. He's like, oh, sorry. She's like, no, no big deal, no big deal. So I have the cutest little Darren McCarty Sharpie line. And
Oh
then
my
it
God.
was, they were just doing all the things. So we were allowed to take a photo. So I wanted a picture with just Kirk Maltby because that was my guy.
Yes, that
So
was your
Darren's still in the zone, gets up to get in the picture. And it must have delighted Maltz because he's like, no, not you. And Darren goes, oh, somebody likes Maltz for once. It was so funny.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I
Yes.
remember you telling me about the Sharpie line, and I'm still like,
Yes.
maybe you should have
Yes.
Darren like draw an arrow and autograph it to the side,
It,
like, oh,
yeah, like maybe like a little post-it note. That's,
yeah, there
I
you go. Yeah,
tried. I tried to help her out, but
somebody likes malts for once.
it
That's
was
great.
really funny. And I have somewhere a really funny, like basically like a prom photo with Maltby where we look like we're at
That's adorable.
prom.
Okay, but speaking of like, you have a prom photo with Maltby, but you arguably have the cutest family Christmas card with Darren.
I do.
How did that come
So
to fruition?
fast forward, season ticket holder event. Um, you could get Christmas photos on the ice
Hmm.
and you could bring your dog, you could, have a time. And that year when this happened, Darren McCarty was there to take pictures with you.
Oh, so cool.
Awesome. So he got to meet my dog. He pets my dog. We meet, and then we take basically our family Christmas card photo where it looks like, we're just one happy family.
But it
But
was it was you, Darren, and
and my
Rosie.
dog.
The
So it's such a great picture. But what I
so
will
cute.
never forget about that day is how much fun it was chatting with him. And I was wearing my Philip Hronik jersey that
Mm.
he had just signed not that long ago. And he said to me, he's like, I can tell like you actually know a thing or two about hockey by the jersey you chose. And I was like, oh my
Oh,
God,
there you
thank
go.
you. And then we looked in Little Caesars and I pointed out my seats to him so he could see. And he's like, those are great. And actually, if I'd have thought about it, I would have asked him, but he was telling me a story about his friends and how they would, they'd want to come to the game, but they would try to tell him what tickets they wanted so they could see. And then like, try and fight right here because we'll be able to see it really good.
Try to fight right
Funny.
here, please.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that was a compliment to both you and Philip Hronik.
Oh,
Like,
I mean, I love Phil.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love
He's
Darren.
he's a
He's
good one.
so positive though
Yeah.
to be like, you're smart because you picked Hronik.
He made
So
me feel like maybe I do know something. I don't know.
well, you'll have to let us post that funny, adorable photo of your
Absolutely.
Christmas family photo with Darren McCarty
Yes, it's great.
on Instagram. So, listeners, check it out at Hockey Style Podcast on Instagram. It's very cute. And I have some memories of Darren McCarty too. More
Hmm.
recently, 1 year apart of, so you'll definitely recall.
Oh,
But Darren, as most of you know, loves, loves, loves Halloween. He talked about it today when he would see the flashes of orange. Well, maybe it's because I love Halloween. I think he's actually worked or volunteered some years at that like super scary haunted house that's like
love
so
that.
many stories, Erebus, and he gets
That's
into it.
awesome.
Well, we also get into Halloween, but not from a scary angle, just from like an over the top costume perspective. So this was what, 2 years ago? We went to the Red Wings game. It was either, I think maybe the night before Halloween, and we didn't tell each other what we were wearing, you and I, but we both said, okay, we'll dress up. And you showed up in your Dorothy costume, Dorothy dress from Wizard of Oz. And I thought I was creative and showed up as Lion, like, because Alex Lyon was the goaltender. So I had his jersey on with a full cowardly lion, makeup, ears, tail, gloves, whole thing. Well, it turns out that day I won a contest for another costume, funny enough, dressing up as the characters from Ferris Bueller because Darren McCarty had done the promos for Ferris Bueller's Day Out, but it was Darren McCarty's Day Out. And anyway, I got to go up to the alumni lounge. Of course, I brought my husband, and we don't know what's happening, but we knew we were going to get to go up there and like hang out, maybe have a picture. Of course, it's Darren McCarty and Danny DeKaiser. So we chit chat with them, had a great time, got some cool swag, and of course, got a picture dressed as Darren McCarty in normal clothes and you and I as Wizard of Oz characters. That
Yeah.
unplanned. So then this Halloween, I see him at Little Caesars Arena the game before Halloween. I'm dressed as a full Cruella DeVille ball gown, like wig, like over the top Cruella DeVille. And I see Darren and he's like, hey. And so walk over and I'm like, Darren, now the number of times that I've stopped and chatted with you, there are more times with me dressed as a bizarre costume than in normal clothes. Just so you know, I do actually wear like normal things. It's not just funny. He was laughing. He's like, "You're right. Weren't you like a Ferris Bueller or something?" I'm like, "Well, the girlfriend." But yeah, it was cute. It was very cute.
I did
So I
not
love that he
think
loves
about
Halloween.
it. I should have put my little Harvey the Hound head in the frame
You
to
should have
see.
for
I
Calgary.
know. That's okay. Maybe
Yes.
someday I'll see it.
Yes, he played what, 2 years in Calgary. I don't like to think of him as anything other than a
Absolutely
Red
not.
Wing.
No, no.
I love
But
that we
it might have
just
made him laugh.
brushed over. Yeah, I mean, that was a really good Harvey the Hound costume.
Well, he might have to go to the game. I don't know.
I know we need to get Harvey more active on social media so he can see it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, running into Darren McCarty is always a blast, but my funniest interaction happened when Darren McCarty was there, but I was just trying to walk by, let him talk with other people, not interact. And a girl, it was early this season, woman started running up toward me. And I thought she had her arms like this. And I thought she knew me and was coming in for a hug. So I put my arms out and she went for it. We hugged. And I said, "Hey, how are you?" No idea who she is, just thinking, "Oh my God, what's her name? I don't know who this is." And she goes, "Oh, it's Darren McCarty." And she was just so overcome with joy that she saw Darren McCarty at the arena, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and she hugged me to share in that moment. And I was like, well, first, thank God I didn't forget who this woman is. I was going to feel terrible because she just hugged me. But yeah, I mean, just to see people genuinely so excited
Mm-hmm.
to interact with him because he's defined part of their
Yes.
hockey fandom.
He is very important.
Hmm. All right. This is one's going to be real hard to beat because Darren is a storyteller. Where do we go from here? We don't know. We don't know, but it's hockey style, and we promise to keep coming up with engaging and fun content. But we'd love to hear from you, listeners. So if you have thoughts, ideas, topics you'd like to explore, leave us a comment below. We would also love to connect and get to know you. Make sure you are following us on Instagram too. You can communicate with us there. We try to check that regularly. But what we always do at the end of the third period is leave you with a hockey style tip. So, do you want to share today's, Megan?
Well, this one's a little outside the box. Maybe it's not something you can do every day, but uh, as we're recording this, the game that we just watched had a very fun goal celly. So I think we should talk about the style of goal celebrations. What
I
do you
love
have for
it.
us? Yes.
Selly style. Well, we have to start with Darren because we just talked to him about one of my all-time favorite Sellys, which was a true. He calls it a double pirouette. I would have called it being a ballet dancer. It was more of a double, well, two single axles on the ice. But man, he got some rotation. I mean, like he said, the Russian judges would have given him like a 4.9. Beautiful Selly.
Yes.
Can't beat it. But as you mentioned last night for the Red Wings, we talked about this game with Darren. Simon Edvinson, in his interview after the game with the lovely Daniela Bruce, said she mentioned, how was that? I think I combined like four sellies from players I've seen, teammates I've seen get overtime goals. I don't know if this just came out of his body, like he planned this, or this was just innate, but I rewatched the clips today and realized he started with Lucas Raymond's, like hands out, leg up in the air. Then he gave a little nod to Dylan Larkin. And then he got down and did the famous Patrick Kane bow and arrow release. And he was smiling ear to ear. And the best part was just feet behind him was Patrick Kane, smiling, kind of shaking his head, just like, good job, kid. You nailed it. The goal and the sellies. It was so cute.
We really have had some unforgettable sellies. I mean, I think that Jake Wallman sure gave us a show with his gritty. I don't know how you forget about that. We got a whole bobblehead.
I know. I loved that. And I know some people were like, oh, whatever. This is hockey. Like, leave it at home. I thought it was
It
fantastic.
was fun.
He made people smile.
Yeah.
And it was popular at the time with Fortnite, and the kids loved it. But the coolest thing Jake did with that, Selly, once it became such a popular thing, he used it as a fundraiser and started selling more merch, but all the proceeds were going to charitable causes in Detroit.
Mhm.
So good for him, you know.
Yeah.
One of my favorites too, Megan. I miss that Wallman. All right. So hockey style tip. Share your favorite Selly. Comment
Mhm.
here, comment on Instagram, but we want to know what your team does to celebrate iconic goals, big goals that are game winners, or just some of your players in their go-to Selly style.
We'd love to see it.
Yes. All right. Until next time, stay tuned. We drop on Thursdays, maybe every Thursday, maybe every other Thursday. But if you subscribe, you'll know and you won't miss it. So go ahead and subscribe, give us a like and a follow, and we will see you next time.
See you later.